learning to be comfortable with being uncomfortable. And as you know, so what is that? How did you, a lot of people don't like to be uncomfortable. And I tell a lot of people growth is painful. We talk about, going to the gym. We talk about, lifting weights. The next day, if you had a great workout, more than likely you're going to be sore to the point where you can't even walk. And it's like, what in somebody's right mind would want to do that to their own body? But it's the results after consistency and time that you did that over, that you created that habit, that you continually put yourself and challenge yourself to get to the next level, to grow and to, be uncomfortable. And so for you, what did that necessarily look like? And how did you overcome that feeling of being comfortable and staying in your lane and staying in your world? And, often, we can take COVID, for example. I mean, that's a perfect example. You can be safe in your own home and nothing can go wrong, but how much are you really going to grow? And how much are you really going to experience? How much are you going to be able to challenge yourself? So how are you able to overcome that? And what would you give somebody who wants to do that? What would you give them advice to help them overcome doing that?
Yeah, it's a great question. And I'll say number one, it's a continual journey. It's not a on off switch that all of a sudden you just flip the switch and now you're this completely different person. But it does start in your mind. I truly believe it's a mindset, right? It's really interesting. Back to just a quick football analogy, right? I played defensive back. I played corner and safety. And I think it's so unique about that position, actually, ironically, very similar to venture capital, is, as a corner or safety, you can be wrong you can be right 68 times, but on that 70th time and you're wrong, everybody knows it, right? So it's a very visible, very
Yeah.
visible position where if you get beat or you're wrong, you mess up, everyone's going to know. And
Hmm.
so there's a lot of anxiety that comes with that. And there was a mentor of mine who said, Jared, there's a difference between playing to win and playing not to lose, right? On the
Mm.
surface, they may look the exact same, where you're competing, you're working hard, you're putting yourself out there, but at the end of the day, you're playing not to lose. You're still leaving a little bit left in the tank. Where if you're playing to truly win, right? I think Jordan said it best. He said, I'm more afraid of not trying than I am a failure, right? Putting
Yes.
himself fully out there, where at the end of the day, you literally have nothing left in the tank where you could have given more. Right? I think it is really unique in this world we live in. It can be easy to give 80% and that 80% look and feel really, really good.
Hmm.
Right. I've lived it myself, and it's unique, right? That I think there's this, I don't even know what we'll call it, almost like a chasm that you cross when you go from that 80% into, I'm giving full 100% of everything I have. It feels very vulnerable. It feels scary. Like, man, if I put if my best, what happens if my best effort is not enough or people don't like my best effort?
Mm.
That is a very scary feeling. But that's what being an entrepreneur is,
Yeah.
right? That's exactly the psychology of an entrepreneur. And so, for myself, really, that's how I developed it, was
Hmm.
just by having a level of belief. And you know what? I'm going to choose. I'm going to make a choice, and I'm going to put my full self out there. And even if somebody says no, I'm going to have peace with that because I put my full self out there. And, honestly, it's still a process I'm working on today.
Yeah.
There's plenty of days where I don't put my full self out there. It's, it's crazy. I was sending, a presentation I'm working on for feedback to one of my friends. And, you can say, like, hey, I would love to hear your feedback on this, but you really don't want to hear my feedback. You'd rather
Right.
just share it and feel good. I really don't want to hear your feedback, but I'm just
Yeah.
saying I do.
Right. Right. Just
When
say
they're
it's
like,
good.
oh, yeah, right. Like, oh, you messed up on this, and this. It doesn't feel good. But,
Hmm.
for myself, I have really leaned into that tension, right? And back to what we were talking about of getting stronger, right? You think about muscles in the body, and the longer you have that time under tension.
Hmm.
My major was exercise science in college, man. So the nerd in me is coming out. But the longer you have that time under tension on that bar, on the bench press, or on the squat, that's the longer your muscles will break down, but ultimately grow back stronger. Now
Right.
you don't want to have too much weight on that bar,
Right.
right? You don't want to have
Right.
too much. You don't
Right.
want to overshare, dream or your aspiration with people who may not receive it. But you do need to put some weight on that bar enough to grow stronger. And I'll kind of conclude with this in that, it was 4 years ago now at this point. 2017, my father passed from a massive heart
Mm.
attack, and it really recentered me on my focus around time. In
Mm-hmm.
that, okay, the longer I wait to fully give myself to this world, is the longer I'll have to wait to fully experience life in the fullness of that, right? And there were certainly some hard times I've been through personally and professionally,
Yeah.
where I'm looking at my bank account and I'm like, you know what, this does not add up to the effort I am giving right now. This is not good. This is not
100%.
okay, right? We are not in the
Yeah,
green
it's
right
going the
now.
wrong way.
Yeah, yeah. So I've lived that,
Mm-hmm.
understand that journey, but at the same token, that level of peace from giving everything I had is what was able to get me through those
Mm.
moments, and now be able to give that back, right?
Yeah.
I think a lot of times we think about our journeys individually and not necessarily the trail we are blazing for others. So this podcast is one something I'm excited about, too, but also I think it's just so important to have that level of awareness about our own lives. So I'm talking now at this
No,
point,
no,
but
man,
hope that answers the question.
this is exactly what I love. That was such good stuff, man. I mean, so many powerful things. And one of the things that I really love that you brought up, the time under tension, right? And you really think about what we often struggle with is our fear of failure, as well as, like you talked about, that your best is not good enough. Man, the perfectionist inside of me, it definitely holds me back sometimes. And that's one thing that I realized about being an entrepreneur. It's not going to be perfect. And the longer that I strive for perfection, the longer that I'm going to prevent myself from growing. And, what helped change my mindset was try to strive for progress instead of perfection. And seeing progress and growth inside yourself is so, so, so rewarding.